Welcome back to the channel, guys. We finally got some action in Bitcoin. It has broken our resistance level of $31,000. So let's update the Bitcoin fear and greed purchasing plan. Have a look at the average price of Bitcoin that we have purchased at over this period of extreme fear and a safe sell target in case Bitcoin does not continue up to new all-time highs from this rally. Make sure you've liked the video, subscribe to the channel. We're here every day through the Bitcoin bull and bear market, unless I'm sick. And of course, make sure you have hit that bell notification icon. Now, the last update is there is 2 days left for the Bybit giveaway, exclusive to this channel and Michael's channel, giving away 2 ETH. 4 lucky winners will get half an ETH each. All you got to do is use that link in the video description and deposit at least $10 onto the platform over there. Only 2 days left, like I said. 2 days left, that's it. All right, guys, let's dive into today's video looking at Bitcoin and what the hell is going on after this recent pump as I'm making this video. So literally in the last 4 hours, we've finally seen Bitcoin break past 30,000 and 31,000. You know, the level that we've been looking at is pretty much dead across the tops of all of these little bars through here that we've seen. And that was coming out at 30,700 to give us an exact figure that we're looking for in terms of support and resistance areas. So now you can see the market is really just attempting to get back to where we were back on the first to break through these levels. So the days that we didn't buy any Bitcoin over this period, according to our fear and greed plan. If you're unfamiliar with that, I'll show you that in just a second as well. The only days were the 31st of May and the 1st of June because they didn't fit into our fear and greed index. What I mean by that? Well, it was these days here. It was a reading of 16 and then a reading of 17 on the fear and greed. Now, there was a day back in 8th of May. That was at 18. So, of course, that wasn't a buy. What I'm looking for here is a purchase at 15 or under. So we have our entry triggers. This is what a plan should look like if you are investing in the markets. I know a lot of people just willy-nilly throw some money in. I'll see how I go. I'll gamble on it. 99% of people do this. Maybe you're one of those. Don't be, because you'll definitely lose over the long run. In the short run, maybe not. But you can see this happen with the guys that are buying Luna on the way down. It went to 60. I'll buy some at 30. I'll dollar cost average in at 15. I'll dollar cost average in at 5. And we know that Luna basically went to 0. So 0.0000001 of anything. So it doesn't matter what price they were dollar cost averaging in at, they got wrecked. All right. So just a simple thing I'm looking at here. This is just for Bitcoin. Fear and greed index equal to or less than 15. So just a nice mechanical emotionalist. So I'm not thinking, well, I should be buying, I shouldn't be. What if I go and check the next influencer online? Fuck that shit. We're not asking any other influencers online because I've seen it before. I was here in 2017. 99% of them have no idea what the frig they are doing, because they pretty much just do the same thing as the other person who's watching at the other end. They just buy on all of these dips and end up with a terrible average price. And basically they can continue funding this because of what, AdSense or whatever else money they got coming in. It doesn't matter. That's pretty much what happens. Now, if you want to survive, you need to have a plan. And that's why I just keep talking about this and banging on about a plan on the channel here. Exit triggers, that's going to be up to you. But I'm going to look at something pretty simple in today's video, and we've looked at it before, but I just want to reiterate it, especially if we don't get a pump as high as what we've seen in the past. And so that's why we're looking at this as a potential trap in Bitcoin. You know, if this does move up from 31 to maybe 34K, is this a trap? And we're going to suck a lot of people in as the market rises up and then basically falls again. And then how to get out of that, you know, some selling targets, taking profits, and whether we need to have some stop losses in place as well. I put this together in May of 2021, so over a year ago now. And we were buying Bitcoin at those levels when Bitcoin crashed. And I suggested to have a stop in place just in case the market broke down from that point. So you can see these are the July periods. In case the market did break down past 29K, which was the previous bottom, maybe Bitcoin's going to go further down and should sell out of everything. Of course, the typical people will laugh and say that you should never be selling, etc. But I know now, well, I knew then as well, that you definitely think at the time that you shouldn't be selling. But once the market falls further, you think, damn it, I wish I would have sold. It happens every time. And I know you guys see that now, especially with altcoins after they're down 85, 90%. You wish you would have sold when they were even 50% down. It feels like a long time ago. So fast forward to today, and we're looking through from May of this year. So the 9th of May, first purchase there was at 34, and we're just using this period as the example, and we've purchased, it's about 27 times. So let's make this a little smaller to fit in as much data as possible. So 9th, let's bring this right down to the 6th. We can move this up here, and that will give us a count of 27. So we've had 27 purchases. Now we just want to get an average price. So bring this up. And this is available for our members of TIA Lite and TIA Premium. You can find a link to this in the top of the video description, along with the Bybit link there as well for the exclusive giveaway. Only 2 days left. So then all we do is just drag this down and look at an average price here. So that's the sum. The average is $29,840. So that's the average price that we've purchased Bitcoin at over the course of the last month, basically pretty much 30 days. Now, if you don't have $1,000 to buy Bitcoin every single time, use $100, use $10. It doesn't really matter. You're going to get the same percentage gains or losses here. The point of it is to follow something. And we've got total invested of 45, so we're looking at 27,000. Total overall is 1.4 Bitcoin. So if you didn't have the $1,000, and of course you're going to be something less than that. So let's look at the amount that we have of Bitcoin for now. So the 9th of May, and we're just going to scroll that down. If you can't see the numbers, it's all right. I'll yell them out. The sum is 0.9. So 0.9 of a Bitcoin is how much we've purchased just in the last month using this plan. If it's $1,000 a day, if it's $100 a day, well, of course, then you'll have 0.09. So nearly 0.1 of a Bitcoin over that period, even if you're just using $100 over this period here. Okay, so average is now 29,800, like we just saw. We have 0.9 of a Bitcoin, just using round numbers. The trap, are we seeing a trap here? Is this market going to head up higher, or are we going to get stopped out at some of these resistance levels? Let's take a look at these resistance levels where the market could stop us out, because we need to know those as well. You can have a look at one of these charts where I've got a few more lines on. Basically, I'm looking at areas where the market would potentially find resistance because maybe we don't head up further, we get trapped, and we need to have a target to maybe sell out some of that Bitcoin that we currently have in order to protect our capital that we've thrown into this market. Maybe we want to take a little bit of profit and then reduce the average price that we have. Yes, we'll have less Bitcoin, but we'll also reduce the average price as well. And we can see the average price is around 29,800 at this point in time. So the levels, well, we've broken through the first one at the moment, but we haven't closed above it yet. We need to close above any of these resistance levels. You can see that the market tried to break above 32,000 and never got to close above it. So zooming in, that came in right here. So it needed to get above those levels. Right now, we're trying to get above this 31 or that 30,700. Let's see what happens. All right, so 32 is the next level. The 50% level from this down range comes in at 32.7. The point I'm going to make here is that there are a lot of resistance levels on the way up. So I don't think you'd be a fool to maybe take some profits. Maybe it's Bitcoin, maybe it's another crypto that you're trading. It doesn't really matter. So maybe you do take some profits on the way up. The point is that there are a lot of resistance levels here. Halfway, the big major 50%, 34,500. And then there's going to be a few through here as well, pretty much 36. And then also around that 38K, which was support before the market really tanked and broke down from that point. And so where I was getting those other levels from were other 50% levels. That's 34.5. And then we use the entire range here that comes out at 36.7. So 36,700. So just for ease sake of how this works, let's just use the major one here, the big 50% level at 34,500. One other thing to note here is that this next period, even though I think maybe we'll get a lower low, like we'll Bitcoin will eventually, over the coming months, not tomorrow after this pump, traps us out in one day and then falls back to new lows the next day. It doesn't happen like that. I think this next period is probably going to be the most challenging. The last periods were a lot easier because you could see the flow of the market just falling. We went sideways. That was challenging. Broke out a little bit and then fell back. Had to be patient here and then it tanked. I think this next period is probably going to be the most challenging because we're getting towards the end of the downtrend, in my opinion, of course. And that's always going to bring on a lot of swings, and you might get fake outs, ups and downs, and then it might not go that much lower, but it could still fake out and cause people to sell out. And then all of a sudden you see the next day the market's closed back above any of those previous support levels. So it broke down and then comes back above. So that's what I'm thinking over the next few months is probably going to be the most challenging. And also for psychology, people's psychology, it's possibly going to get boring. It's going to get tough, all that sort of stuff. So the percentage to the next resistance level from our average price of 29,800, like we just looked at, there it is about there to the top here, it's about 15%. So is it worthwhile for most people to be taking a 15% profit on something? Maybe not. Most people didn't come to crypto for 15% returns. If you want a 15% returns, you go to traditional markets and hope for the best over there. So just an example on how to use this, and you can set your own parameters any which way you want. Looking at 15%. So once the market rose to this resistance level, which is about 15% away, then maybe sell a little of that Bitcoin. So it rises up. We say, all right, it gets to that point or maybe just under, sell a little bit. And then that is going to then lower the average price down rather than it being where it currently was at 29,800. It's going to come further down the charts, and maybe it ends up being, depending on how much you sell, if you sell maybe a third of it, might come back down to about $25,000, $26,000, $27,000 in terms of an average price of how much you the average price that you entered Bitcoin at, rather than it being at 29. Just depends on how much you will choose to sell. If you choose to sell half of your Bitcoin at that point, then of course the average price is going to be lower again. So that then reduces your exposure to the market. You'll have more capital on the sides in case the market comes back down and gives us more extreme fear on this chart here, which then is more buying opportunities so that you can have more capital to reinvest into the market at lower prices. So that's the simple way to do it if you're just looking for a percentage gain to the upside. And where to look for potential resistance levels. Like people ask, where do I sell? Well, look for resistance areas. That's a good start. You want to look for areas where the market has shown support and resistance in the past, because it will probably find that again. So that's the look on selling that Bitcoin if this is a trap. Now, if we do sell and the market never comes back to these lower prices in below 30,000s, then you just have to wear that. The market then heads up from that point. We start to make higher highs, higher lows, and the market takes off from that point. But you just don't know before it happens. If I knew that before it happens, then maybe it would never sell and this would just be taking off to new all-time highs of 60 grand. But that then would be a fool's game, because that's what happened in the bull market. Every influencer was talking about 100 grand Bitcoin at these highs. They're talking about 100 grand Bitcoin, that it had to happen. I don't think it ever has to happen. But they're talking about 100 grand Bitcoin throughout 2020, 2021, when the market broke down again. And then when we came back up in November, 100 grand Bitcoin. It's nonsense, absolute nonsense. It will never, ever happen like that, because if it did, then they won't be selling their crystal ball that cheaply. So that's why we take precautions in case the market doesn't keep rising and it starts to fall back down, and we don't feel so bad. We've got some money on the sidelines and we can start to buy in at cheaper prices. And if it doesn't come back down, well, then you've still got some money on the sidelines. You can go and reinvest that into some other cryptocurrencies when they've found their low. So those areas that we're looking for resistance again, possibly around that 32, because we've seen that happen just a few days ago, around that 32.5 level. It happened again on the 10th of May when the market started to tank, and you can see it on a 4-hour chart a little better as well. We just go up here. So that's where the market dropped to 29.9, and then it bounced up to around that 32.2, so 32,200 before it fell into that final low of 25,500. So that's the next price on the way up for Bitcoin. Could this be a trap? Of course, it can always be a trap. We saw that on the 16th of May. We saw it again on the 31st of May and the 1st of June. So we want to make sure that this closes above those levels and then continues to close above the previous resistance levels. Stay tuned to the channel. Got more of this coming up. It's important to be able to know when to buy in and not buy all of the dips. I think it's the most ridiculous thing out there because there are simple strategies like this and you can make it any which way you want rather than just following my own plan here. But it's a good start. If you got nothing, then it's a good start. And you definitely want to have some sort of plan before we run into that next bull market, which I think could start, obviously, once we see this low, and I think it's going to come sometime in 2022, and then you'll start to roll into that next bull market probably in 2023, and then into the new all-time highs later, 2023 or 2024. So prepare now while the market's quiet. That's my advice. I'll see you guys at the next video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Of course, Bybit, 2 days to go. Your chance to win. The odds are really high because it's only exclusive to this channel and Michael's channel. So check out links in the description. And if you want to join us for anything like the Fear and Greed plan or our weekly updates on the markets and real estate cycles, link to Patreon is in the top of the video description. See you guys at the next video. Until then, have more fun to get more done.